Hello and welcome to Dear DSA with Dr. Sunday Adelaja. So that's Dr. Sunday Adelaja. That's what DSA means. And today on the program, I am going to be talking with him on a very interesting topic. Of course, here we read letters and do quite a lot of variety stuffs, but today, particularly because it's the new year, we'll be doing it in a different way. By the way, to every one of you, I want to wish you a happy new year. This is the 2nd of January, year 2019. And I'm sure many of you had been told that you were never going to make it beyond 2018. But oh, here you are now. I'm sure some of you had been told that if you ever stand for the truth and stand against some of the religious organizations and these religious mafias, and those who are their lords and those who are championing them, that you will not live beyond 3 months, or some of you, they told you 2 weeks. Some of you, they've raised prayer altars on you. But 2019, here you are. So that just shows you that nobody is in charge of your life except God. So what do I do now? I'm saying congratulations. Welcome to the year 2019, a year where it will not be easier for religious manipulators, a year where freedom will be served, a year where liberty would be given, a year where more sons would arise, a year where more people will be tired of being children, a year where slaves would be set free and they will begin to live their lives in the freedom, a year where people will begin to come into the realization of the finished work of Christ, because it was Christ who tasted death, so that all those who have lived their life under the fear of death can now have freedom. This is the year where many will come to that realization. This is the year that many people, their eyes would be open to the fact that there is something called the priesthood of all believers, and there is nobody better than you. So to the many of you who have been doing it and you've been told you will not make it beyond so and so, well, this is 2019, you are still here, you are still standing, and I congratulate you and I say Happy New Year to you. All right, so I would bring on my guest today. It's usually my guest, except if something different is going to happen. And who am I talking about? I'm talking about Dr. Sunday Adelaja, the man who is not afraid to steer the waters. Happy New Year, DSA.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. This is 2019, January 2nd. Yes, still standing, still going strong.
They didn't call on their God, I guess.
Well, maybe they've not watched the Elijah challenge.
It has gone everywhere. I even know that I know a certain bishop who is one of the top 5 bishops in Nigeria, maybe one of the top 3 bishops, we could say, in the country. I know that he was busy sending it to people, and some of the people he sent it to is a friend of ours. And, you know, so they are very, very aware. They have watched it like maybe as much as you have watched it.
Okay. But anyway, for everything that it stands, for those who had raised altars, raised prayer.
It's just confirming my assertion that they are not in touch with the God of heaven. They have made themselves their own gods, their own small gods, and they are worshiping their own shrines and their own idols. So the God of heaven would never answer them. The God of heaven lives by different set of principles. And so that's why I was bold enough to challenge them to call on the God that they think they're worshiping. And since we know that idols don't have ears, they have ears, they don't hear, they have eyes, they don't see, and they have hands, they cannot use them. And that's why I know that their idols cannot really harm anybody. They cannot really harm us, especially we who don't fear them and who are not intimidated by their antics. So, but the God of heaven, they will be wasting their time if they will go ahead to call on him.
That would be to assume that they have a relationship with
Which
him.
they don't.
That's even in the case that they have a relationship with him.
Yeah.
But what we've seen is that many of them serve Mammon. And Mammon is just like the biblical idol, like you have said, that has eyes but cannot see.
Yep.
It has ears, cannot hear.
Yep.
creation of human hands.
Yep.
Many people believe in chariots. They place their trust in money. Many people place their trust in congregation and in numbers. But we know who we are talking about. We're talking about the Lord of heaven, the God of hosts, the one who gave his son to die for us and bring all men to reconciliation.
The good thing is that I think it's working, because this year I've seen, before the new year, during Christmas time, a number of photographs of these GOs and bishops and pastors who actually had New Year programs for the less privileged people. I saw that Enenche brought a lot of yams to the church and bags of rice, I guess, and beans, to distribute to their church members. At least let them start with their church members. And then, I'm sure they do that every year, but at least this year they did it with intention, because they know that we are going to come after them if they don't do anything. Then I heard that Redeem wants to feed some millions of people. You know, the number they gave is outrageous, but at least they want to feed. And then there was a particular one of them that put a lot of millions of naira on the table and was distributing maybe 10 million, 30 million naira, was distributing to a church member. So what I'm saying is that the cry of the masses is getting little by little across to the oppressors. And they know that if they don't do anything, if they don't begin to pretend, at least, let us even say it's a pretense, and the things that they are doing is an act and a show. But at least some people are benefiting. So let people benefit. Like Jesus said, that Christ is being preached. That's the end of the story. I mean, it's good that people are benefiting. So that's on one hand. But on the other hand, I am totally shocked at the the low numbers of prophecies that have come through this year. I mean, because last year, I can remember last year, it was everywhere, every page. This one, that one said, this one said. Where have all the revelations disappeared?
That is one thing to talk about. You know, this year...
maybe it's only 3 or so, 4 people I've seen who have prophesied so far.
And
in all of Nigeria. What's happening? Just like the Ember, is it Ember years?
Ember months.
Okay. Ember month. You know, we attacked it last year very well. This year something happened. I just disappeared from the stage.
2018.
Yes,
it wasn't so much.
This 2018 is disappeared. It was 2017 we attacked it.
Yeah.
But this year, what happened to it? They just disappeared. Only few people mentioned it. So you know, it means there is hope. Things can be fixed in that country if we keep on pushing, and if we keep on. We are not even on ground yet, but because by the time we are on ground, it will be another business, another talk altogether. But even at that, right now, we can already begin to see little progress.
Yeah. So it just shows that every deception, every lie is like a dark room.
Yeah, it's short
for every lifespan. Time people who carry light enter.
The lifespan of deception is very short.
So it means the more people who are getting liberated and are carrying this light, the more many of these deceptions will be moving out. They'll be moving out. They will be moving out.
Yes.
Moving out. You know, not just that the prophecies are few. It's not few only in the number of people who prophesied.
Okay.
It's also few in the number of prophecies that those who are prophesying.
The points.
They give.
No,
okay.
I think Suleiman's point, I think he can reach 30 or 50.
Yeah. But 50 is still small to what he would have given normally.
Oh, okay.
Because he would have given bulletin, then still say some more. Adeboye this year.
That one is very few. I think the guy just used time to escape.
I think few is going to be good. It's scanty.
Yeah.
It's numbered.
He just used time to exit the whole
and he was
prophecy.
He was very wise with it.
Yeah.
Because he didn't give event. He gave scriptures.
He's trying to save his head.
He's wiser now.
And he put it on the politicians. Because the congregants don't think. So they would all critically analyze why and all that. They don't analyze anything. So once they said it's election year, they will say, okay, yeah, that's why. That's why the man of God's prophecy didn't flow this year.
What did the election year do? Did it interrupt the frequency or what?
I think it stood between Nigeria heaven and the heaven itself. Is disturbing the traffic.
So the political cloud is blocking the flow of the revelation.
The heavenly cloud.
that must mean one thing, that the power of the one who is giving the revelation is not much, or the one who is receiving is.
I'm still waiting for the Winners Chapel Bishop's revelation.
We have not seen that one.
Yes, this gone on break.
I have not seen that one.
I don't think he will do it this year. The one he has done with satire, I think he's still receiving the reward.
Let's wait till Sunday.
Okay, maybe it will come
wait till Sunday
with some lateness.
Yeah. Sometimes they say the later the better.
Oh.
Sometimes too they try to watch the atmosphere
mood
and see who gave this prophecy and compare prophecies
and
before
put their own individual. I see.
But again, one must ask DSA that what is the whole essence of giving New Year prophecies? Why has it become a thing, especially for the Nigerian church?
When I was in Nigeria as a believer and as a new believer, it was not a matter of, it was not even a matter to consider. When we were growing up in Africa, we used to know the white garment churches who did that. And CAC, maybe they were CAC or white garment, mainly white garment churches, I think. And we, the born again those days, people who are SU and who are born again, they used to look at them as weird people, as people who are weird. Weird, yes. As people who are weird, as people who are strange, people who are not in contact with God, people who are ritualistic, because that was being looked at as a ritual those days. And that time, people like Pastor Adeboye was alive. So he knew the attitude to these kind of things. And even Pastor Bishop Adeboye, Bishop Oyedepo and others, they are old timers, so they know the way it used to be, that nobody respected people to be doing that. But for them to have joined the trail to begin to do that means that the power and the pressure of mammon is too strong. It means that they just had to join because that is what was popular in the masses, and that is what is drawing people, drawing crowd. So, and for them, anything that draws crowd is what they have to do, because they are worshiping the God of the visible things. They are living from outside in, not from inside out. So their God are visible, tangible things. So if that thing will draw crowd and bring money, then they drop principles. They drop truth for any temporary thing that will attract to them instant, visible gratification and result. So, which means that it's still a question of the truth not having a position and not having a place in the society. It's a question of the truth being adulterated and being betrayed and being cut short in the society. So they trade off the truth. They trade off principles. They trade off God's standards and God's word for something that will bring immediate results and satisfaction. And
that satisfaction is often an illusion that is created in the mind of the congregant. Because many times, and this is another thing that I would like us to talk about, especially today, Many times we've seen that the prophecies that they give that gives immediate gratification in the venue for the remaining 364 days never comes to pass.
It's just because our people are driven by emotions. Emotion is more a truth to our people than truth itself. So that's why you hear things like, it works for me, that I felt it. I felt it. I know what I felt. I know what I experienced. But they don't know that what you experience or what you feel, those are just, emotional results. They don't qualify to be truth. Because when you go to herbalists and black magic people, they could make you feel a lot of things too. And you could experience even some immediate results as well. But that doesn't make it to be true. So, because our people don't analyze and process things through, they are used to just coming to conclusion by their feelings. So all the efforts of these churches and their focus is mainly concentrated on the immediate presence. Like in the church, in the congregation, the immediate effect is what they like, immediate manifestation, because that is what creates the feelings. And once they could get people to shout and create feelings, and the feelings is what would drive them to come and drop their money. So once they could get them to feel something like that, for them, they have already gotten their result. Because our people don't go to analyze, process, before they come to the conclusion about what they are experiencing. Once they've just experienced it, to them, that is the truth. And that's final. So to them, they are doing well.
Yeah, but again, do you think more Nigerians are really, beyond what is being said there, do you think more Nigerians are really demanding accountability?
No, they are not demanding yet, I guess, but it's going to be a long process of change for the country and for the people. I think what is happening right now is we are just at the stage of awareness, quickening awareness of the fact that could something be wrong? What these people are saying, could it be right? But so, even though some of them are doubting, but some of them are still submissive to the old system. But the fact that the doubt has started is a good beginning, because the doubt now will lead to questioning. And when they leave the stage of questioning, then they will go to the stage of analysis. Then once they get to the stage of analysis, then they will go to the stage of research, and searching, looking for the truth. So when the desire comes to look for the truth and research, then they will, when they discover the truth, because that will lead them to discoveries. Once they discover the truth, then that is only when they will begin to demand for accountability. It's still a long way,
a long process
to go. Yeah.
No, but I can't remember which year, but it's one of these recent past years when Adeboye prophesied that there was going to be a new superbug amongst many other prophecies.
Yeah, there is going to be an incurable
disease.
That
worse
particular
than
year,
AIDS.
worse than AIDS.
And it didn't come.
It never came.
And a lot of Nigerians were asking questions.
Yes, and they came after him.
So
I think he has learned his lesson. That's why the prophecies are now coming in scriptures rather than in events and concrete prophecies.
But even if it comes in scriptures, then you are giving such prophecy in scripture.
He said he was talking in Proverbs or what? In codes.
In codes. Then it would have to be that it's universal. Or is it that it's leaving the code for the interpretation of every other person?
Well,
then what is the certainty of the prophecy now? Because if you give a prophecy is a sure word.
Well, I think that what was actually doing is to let you people know, at least people who can think, that this that this business of prophecy, New Year prophecy, even though you people are expecting it, I am checking out. I think that's what he was trying to say. He was just using style to check out of that old practices, and I commend him for that. But it shouldn't have been coming with a story that is a code and things like that. He should have just kept his mouth shut. But he knows that the crowd are expecting. So he wanted to please both his conscience and the people at the same time.
So how would it be as a minister to come up the stage and say something like, guys, I'm sorry, but God did not give me a word for you this year?
They will say, the Nigerian crowd, I'm sure, will say something is gone wrong with our GO. GO is no more hearing God, but he has presented himself and he has sold himself to the congregation to be somebody who is the mouthpiece of God. He has not taught the people to know that each one of them could be a friend of God, and they are friends of God, and they have the same access as himself. He has elevated himself to a place of a medium, such that people are now treating him like a medium. And so he would not, for him to do that will equal to absconding his own position that he had desired so much to be in. Because that's what makes people to worship them.
He said he's the first fellow in Nigeria to call God daddy.
You see, that is the syncretism that they have brought into the church in Nigeria. They want to make themselves look special. But the whole essence of Christian faith is that no one is special. We have all become special. No one is more special than the other. We have all become special and equal in Christ Jesus. So nobody has better access or more access to God than any other person. If you have more access, it's because you have paid the price. You have done something. You have, developed a relationship with God in such a way that other people have not developed. But if that other person also has the same access, he just needs to go ahead and develop that same relationship. That's all. But they want to make it look as if it is not you who determine your own level of relationship with God. But they want to make it look as if it is God himself that said, your name is Adeboye, and I have picked you among all men. So that is the syncretism there. They want people to think that they are anointed specially or they are handpicked specially. So which makes other people to automatically surrender to them as the mouthpiece of God and be looking at them and say, okay, we are just ordinary mortals and he is not, because he is the mouthpiece of God Almighty. That's what they want. Because that way, the people will automatically submit to them without querying or questioning anything.
And then they make subhumans. They subjugate the human beings, and then they elevate themselves to the position of a deity.
Yeah.
So before you see God, you have to see them.
Yeah.
And I guess that is why people rush to crossover services.
Because the deities will be speaking.
Yeah.
As the oracles from the mouth of God, right?
And you made mention of one interesting fact here now, which is that in Christianity, there are no special people. Everyone is a royal priesthood, a peculiar nation, and a peculiar people, a chosen people, And you were saying to get to some places, to some place in Christ, to grow, you have to pay the price, which is personal. Now that is quite possible. But even at that, God speaks to anybody. And anybody.
Even Christians and non-Christians.
So how, for instance, now how do I, as a minister, how am I going to be able to separate? Because I believe that there's a difference between what God tells me, for me, what He tells me for me to apply, and what He tells me to tell others. And it seems that even for people who are genuine and really do hear from God, it seems they don't know how to be able to separate these three. When God reveals something for you for information, maybe for the future, but it gives you a part of it now. I don't think you have to go and say that. Or when it tells you for you to apply, you apply it for yourself. You do it for yourself. And when it tells you to tell others. So for genuine ministers, how do you think they can be able to differentiate what these three is, even when they get information from God? And more like the way we have it in the real world.
If anybody cannot differentiate, it means that you have to question that person's claim to have heard from God. Because for you to have heard from God means to hear from God. And if you hear from God, you will know the difference. Just the same way you know the voice or the the information is coming from God. The same knowledge that makes you to know, the way you are able to differentiate that information and message that is not coming from you, it's not coming from some terrestrial powers, and it's coming from God. That is the same ability you will have to know who this message is for. Is it for you, or is for another person, or is for the congregation? Very direct answer.
Thank you so much. Then why is it that God waits till the end of the year before he gives the prophecy for the next year?
Yes, because the God that these people serve is a God that has to create a frenzy. You know,
Frenzy.
Frenzy, yeah. He's creating frenzy atmosphere. They want to, they needed to create some kind of commotion, some kind of effects. They are living from outside in. And if you are living from outside in, you need those effects because, for example, to them it matters that January is January 1st, you know, because it's the beginning. But in the eyes of God, you know, January or no January, every day, you know, with God is just the same. But, you know, for them, they needed to create, they are used because January calendar is something from outside, something visible. So they needed to orientate themselves by that and to orientate the people by that and, you know, cause them to, like somebody said, like I think that the phrase is the one who said that, to rake in more money at the end of the day.
So it's more like a way to generate more income. And I think there was a church, I don't know if they did it this year, but 2 years ago and last year they did it. They sold gate fee for crossover night. 1,000 naira.
Yeah, but if they, if they are going to, the gate fee, if they are going to serve them something, they are going to give them entertainment, or they are going to treat people with, maybe that is why they are.
But that becomes a merchandise in and of itself.
No, if they are going to give them something for it.
But these are church members.
Yeah, but church members normally, maybe, I think if they, what I'm trying to say is, if they are coming to the service as regular service, church members don't pay, I guess.
Yes, except when they pay at the end.
Yeah, except the offerings.
Yeah.
But this one, for example, they say, okay, we have special event. Just like saying you're having special event, and we are going to feed all of you.
Yes.
So, and if everybody, if it's a crossover service, for example, if it's just, it's like a concert, or it's just like putting up a program, and you say, okay, you need to get a ticket for it because, you know, they will be serving you, you know, you'll be, so it's just to, I think, to change the status and to, you know, also cut the number of people who will come, because if they say, okay, we are going to do a concert, or we are going to be serving, and everybody will come, the hall might not even take everybody. Maybe the hall is for 1,000 people, for example, and like in Christ Embassy, the number of members could be 20,000. So they have to cut off one way or the others. And I think 1,000 naira is not a big deal.
No, it is a big. By the time you do that in a country like Nigeria, with the poverty rate that is being said now, you can see that that's already classism.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So the people you are going to cut off are not necessarily the people who don't want to be there, but the people who cannot afford to be there. But
you know, when you talk about that is not even the most. I wonder why people are making so much big deal about the 1,000 naira for crossover. Christ Embassy is doing about 50 types of partnerships, giving, that, you know, classifies the church members and categorizes them. And those are not 1,000 naira kind of categorizing. So they are doing worse things. That 1,000, I don't know why that is particular. People are particular about that. That 1,000 for gate fee is nothing compared to what's going on in Christ Embassy.
But people are more particular about that because it's symbolic. It's crossover night. It's a symbolic event in Nigeria. Everyone wants to be a part of it. Then it shows the greed of the system. that they will extract to the last kobo?
No, I think we first of all have to find out if they are not giving anything in exchange, if they are not going to serve food.
I don't think they sell food. And even if they sell food, they've collected too much to be able to finance that.
Yes, but it will not be, maybe if it's going to be a special event, I'm giving them benefit of the doubt, because you see things like that always in the Western world. Western world, when the church or any organization is organizing like a concert or like an event like that, it's always with ticket. Maybe it's not common in Nigeria, but idea of ticket is, even conferences, people pay for it.
If it were
they
a
register, they do registration. Yes. Yeah, this is something, and it is a similar kind of thing.
That's not the outlook for crossover services in Nigeria.
Okay.
The outlook for crossover services in Nigeria, like we've said, is the deity type, where the average church member is looking to hear from his geo what God is saying. So he's going to do everything it takes to be there. So it's not the conference. It's not a conference type. There is a special event anytime in the year that they know that I can choose to watch this at home or something, and they can make choices. And many times, even when those happen, even in the West here, those events are not. They are not necessarily when people get registered. They are events that need logistics and not usually one-day events.
Yeah. Maybe even if they are one day, but it will still need logistics.
A lot of logistics.
Yeah.
But once this is a church service and the church is rich enough to finance it, I don't think that churches in the West that are not mammonic in their orientation, because location being in the West or being in US or UK has not stopped churches from also being mammonic.
Yeah.
But I think churches that are not mammonic in nature, as long as they can afford it, they do not put levy on the people. But for Nigeria, when that happens in Nigeria, it just shows you the extent of the extractive church that is there in Nigeria.
For example, if you come back to me and say they don't give anything,
yes, sir,
at the end of the day, they don't serve anything, and it's not like, they don't serve anything. It's not a special event like, concerts or special that takes a lot of logistics, and they don't give people anything. Then that would be, I will agree with that argument that yes, it means it is greed. It is dictated by greed in that sense.
Well, maybe we should just move on from that so it doesn't look as though one is focusing too much. But in any case, the extractive institutions are there, and it's a microcosm of the whole country.
If you see the way the teaching I did about Oyakilome,
yes, sir, I
gave a list of all the extractions and systems of extractions that they have in the church. For me, even if I had seen that $1,000 Naira something, I don't even mention that, because there are worse things that they are doing. Because 1,000 is too small, it's too insignificant. Because some of the things they are doing in that church is just appalling.
Yeah, Chris is saying they don't serve anything.
They don't serve anything.
Yeah.
I said they just collect the people's money to come for the New Year. Wow.
It's more like the way this guy is selling tickets to this guy in South Africa.
To heaven.
Not even to
No, some people say, I know one in Zimbabwe.
In Zimbabwe?
Yes.
Selling tickets to heaven.
Yeah, you've not heard of that?
I heard of him, but I think he was arrested.
Yes, he was arrested.
And this guy...
If you can sell ticket to anywhere, why not to heaven? Heaven is the one that will sell most.
And there are people who will buy.
Yeah, people. That's why they arrested him. Because people from other churches started buying, so other pastors went and complained, and that's why the police caught him. If it's just for his church members, they would not have caught him. But everybody wants to go to heaven and be sure. So all churches in town started coming to buy. The guy became a millionaire very fast.
But
as long as you want to go to heaven, what stops you from buying?
How can such con work on the mind of people? Ticket to heaven?
Well, if these ones that are already working, they are working. The scams that are already working right now are working. The same way that other also will work now.
Wow. Then
If
DSA.
he came to heaven, it's another level. Eh?
It's another level. It's another level. Someone was saying all this. I read on Facebook. The guy was saying all these Jews that are saying you hear from God, you hear from God. Please, the next time you hear from him, record his voice. We are tired. You hear this, you hear that, you hear this, you hear that. They don't come to pass.
We want authenticity.
Please, next time he speaks to you, just record his voice. So, my next question, DSA, is why so much gloom and doom in prophecies?
I think those are Nigerian prophecies because they have connected everything to fear. Nigerian churches trade in two things. They trade in fear and they trade in demons. So demons and fear sell, I think, just like hot bread, bread that is just coming from the oven. That is how those two commodities sell in Nigeria. Fear and demons. Yep, it's a business.
But
so prophecy and all those things have to be connected to fear.
This must then show that the Bible is not the authority, or they have no connection with the scriptures.
Yes, because these people are still practicing their own African traditional religion. What is prevalent in because I think the reason is because they look at people and look at what works. In Nigeria, the whole idea, the whole essence of their activity is that this works. Anything that works. So if it is even sacrificing human beings that works, and you could tell them that it will make them to have money, or it will make them for their church to grow, they will do it. Anything that works for them is just so. As long as there is no understanding or concept of truth. You see, in any civilized society, there is only one basis for decision making, and the only singular basis for decision making is truth. Truth is the only reason you do anything you do at all. Either it's prophesying, either it's New Year, either it's anything you do must be, the only reason, the explanation for doing anything must be truth. But when truth is totally absent and the whole understanding of truth is not valued, then the only basis of truth for you will be self-interest or the way you feel. So in Nigeria, number one is self-interest, selfishness, egocentrism, gain, self-gain, self-profit. And then number two is feelings, the empirical, evidences that come from the five senses. So only the five senses determine truth for them. So truth for them is what is profitable to them, and so they do it because it's profitable. It works. And they do anything that feels right to them because it's feeling, it makes them feel good. So that is the tragedy of any society where truth is not the absolute standard. When truth is not the absolute standard, everything becomes the truth, depending on what you feel or what is there for you to gain. And once you have established it as the truth, it becomes the authority as well.
Wow. Truth must always be first place. And that is what makes us Christians, that we have the authority of the scripture, and that is our truth. But DSA, I want us to analyze one of the prophecies this year. I want us to really talk about that. Olukoya said, to survive 2019, Christians would require many strange prayers, which many around them might not be comfortable with.
Is that prophecy?
I'm going to stop at that before I continue.
No, I think it's not. I don't think he called that prophecy. I think he just make a statement to let people know that please keep on coming to my church and keep on praying the kind of prayer that I'm praying, because people are now attacking it, but it's connected to your survival place, or make you keep on the prayer and keep me relevant. It's an attempt to keep himself relevant.
But I'm worried, DSA. If Olukoya still has some prayers to call strange.
Yes, because he doesn't have any other prayer, and he doesn't have any new thing. It's just a way of him saying that the thing that we are doing here is called strange. So that is what will actually make you to survive. You need it. So please keep on, registering for this kind of thing.
DSA, look at it. The Nigerian, if not for what the new wave of this reformation is doing, the average Nigerian Christian has no problem with Olukoya's prayer. So for them, it's not strange.
Yes.
So it means the kind of prayer Olukoya prays and erases was norm, or is still even the norm. So what will make Olukoya say that get ready for strange prayers which will make the people around you uncomfortable?
Yes. What makes him to say that is exactly what I'm saying. He knows that in the new year that is coming, more challenging voices will come up, and more opposing voices that will be saying, this kind of prayer you are praying, they are strange, they are not good. So he's preparing people ahead of time, so that people will say, our Jew has said it, that it is only this kind of strange prayer, that people will be uncomfortable. Well, this is it, that the man of God has prophesied. So he's actually trying to go ahead to secure the people, himself, by brainwashing the people and preparing them ahead, so that when the opposition grows and increases, they will be able to, cut off that opposition. And that's the way to create fools. Is by preventing the people to hear the truth. You are making them fools. So that's what he's doing. He's making people fools.
So he's preparing the ground ahead.
Yeah, it's
to secure his own fortress.
The people. Yeah, to keep on being.
So the strange he's talking about is futuristic.
Yes.
More like.
He's not having any new thing. He's just preempting. He doesn't have any new thing in his pocket in that sense. He's just preempting. He's just psychologically conditioning the people.
Because someone like me will be thinking he was about to take it a step.
No, he doesn't have any other new thing to say.
All right, so let's go for the next thing he said, and I would like you to mention something on that. He told the congregation that sacrificial giving was key to their success in 2019.
Is it not the same thing? It's still the same thing now. He's trying to preempt, to say, okay, you hear those people say, you cannot go to the church. You hear them saying the tithe and offering is bad, but God is saying now, and He is the God that is saying that sacrificial offering is the key, so that the budget will not drop. It's still the same preempting efforts. So those prophecies are self-motivated and self-aggrandizing.
But for those of you who are watching, if by any chance someone has told you that sacrificial giving, by that I mean giving to the church and giving to department and sowing different kind of seed and the different names they call it, is the way you are going to make it in 2019. I want to ask you one question. Did you make it like that in 2016? You gave it in 2017, did it work? You gave it in 2018, are you a billionaire now? So what makes you think that that's the way for 2019? It gets to a time when someone has to say, enough is enough. I've been fooled for too long. Someone will say that if one person is fooled the same way twice, that means he himself is compliant. He himself is no longer a victim, but a willing participant. So you must ask yourself, all of the monies have been given, all of the monies have been given to church. Were they gains for me or were they losses? And you can ask yourself, are there better things I could put this money into use for? Look around you. Look at the dilapidation. Look at the societal damage. Look at children who are in need. And ask yourself, what if I put this money into use and send a child to school? What if I put this money into use and build a social need for the people, do you think the world will be better? I think so too. But these prophecies, they are lies. They are made up. They are nothing. They are just things that have been brought up so that you can keep being in subservience to them. Imagine, sir, and one other prophecy is against flood.
Okay. Natural.
What will countries like Japan that suffer earthquake every year, what would they do?
No, but how did it sound? It depends on how the prophecy sounds.
And that we should pray against the anger of water, something like that.
Because they believe in the Mami water spirit and that the water could get angry. So it's still about the demons. It's still about superstition and African traditional religion, syncretism creeping into Christianity.
And they must be swept out with the force of truth. They must be swept out.
They must be silenced.
They must be swept out.
Yep.
And I think it's working because the question we're asking today is what's happening? Why are the prophecies few? There are people who would have heard from before. We are not hearing from them again.
We are not hearing from them, yeah.
Towards the end of last year, Kumuyi said that any prophet, anybody who is giving prophecy and it's not coming to pass, that they are fake prophets.
Thank God Kumuyi is speaking out, because before he wouldn't have spoken out. He would have tried to be just speaking out to his own people. But thank God he's taking a more national role. And he's one of the few that are much better than the most of them. So thank God that he's saying things like that.
Do you think that many more of these GEOs are going to turn around this year? You know, last year we had someone like Michael Konko turn around.
Yeah, but he didn't really turn around. He only spoke, maybe he turned around in one area, but he didn't change his doctrine drastically, I think, like the other one, Abel
Damina.
Yeah.
I think Abel Damina is way ahead and going with full force, but
because that one changed. That is the one you could say turn around.
okay.
But people like Okonko, no, he just made a statement one time. I think he's still practicing everything he practiced before now.
No, but some of his gospel has changed a bit too. The tone.
Oh, I've not been listening to him.
Because before he also was a walk preacher. He preached walks.
Yeah. So, but that is, apart from preaching the grace message,
yes,
that is just part of
part
message,
of, okay.
part of truth. I don't succumb into preaching the grace gospel.
Okay.
I think there is nothing like grace gospel, nothing like prosperity gospel, nothing like all those things. And people who are just preaching on that, they are doing something. They are delivering people because they are at least opening people's eyes to the fact that we don't live by laws anymore.
Yes, sir.
But they shouldn't just stop on that. They shouldn't only be talking about the grace message. They could be one of the things they will be talking about, but they should actually be talking about the kingdom message.
All right. So there's only one gospel, and
Only
that
one
gospel is the kingdom
of
message.
God. Yeah.
But I'm asking now that do you think there's any hope for some of these people to actually change their ways?
Nope, no hope. There might be an exception, maybe one or two, but largely they will be changing in a way that is trickish. They will be changing with deception, with the goal of deceiving people, making people to feel that they are in the among the progressives, but it's not because they will change entirely, like repent. I think that will take supernatural intervention of God to make that happen.
Yeah, you've seen the book Midas Touch.
Oh yeah, I read it about maybe 15 years ago.
What do you think? Did you think Kenneth Hagin changed? And if he did, what do you think the impact was? Was it late? Was it too late? Or did he not even change at all?
Yeah, there are two books he wrote, Midas Touch, and then he wrote another one about, is it praise and worship, about, when I was talking about praise and worship and giving also. I think he tried to correct his doctrine because he actually called his main disciples around and warned them about the excesses that were taking place in the Word of Faith movement. And many of them didn't take it. And they didn't, because they had gone too far. And he was leading them. So their argument was that you are the one who taught us this thing. You are the one who was leading us. In fact, Kenneth Hagin changed a lot of things from his books. Things he had written before, he went and retracted them and rewrote some of the books. For example, in one of the books, he used to say that he had never been sick, and since he was healed, and he's never, but which is not true. You know, then, but he corrected that. Then he also corrected the fact that before he used to claim that the minimum age of every believer should be 120 years. And that he would not die before 120 years. That Jesus told him or he appeared to him or something like that. But before he died, those things disappeared from his book. People who are young like you will never know that he used to say that. But people who are around in the 70s and in the 80s, they know that so the old books, the first editions of those old books, they are still in some people's house now, where he used to say he would live 120 years and he will not die. So I think he changed.
Yeah, because what I'm asking that is in juxtaposition with the Nigerian movement.
Yeah, it could still happen, but it has to take God.
Or maybe it would be too late to, like those who were following.
I had a vision. I had a revelation when God told me to go back to Nigeria and try to do what I'm doing right now. One of the scenario in that vision is that one of the two top bishops in Nigeria, or GOs in Nigeria, turned and came to where I was standing with Jesus and said, I heard that this is happening and I don't want to stay outside. So which means that according to that revelation, somebody on top there, or some of them, will be affected and they will change. But in the natural, I don't see it happen. It will take God.
Because if considering that, sir, one also has to look at the recent history in Nigeria, which is Idahosa. Listening to Idahosa and his message, and those who claim to follow him, there seems to be a whole lot of contrast. So one is wondering if that guy was alive and they still went the way they went. To now imagine that if he was teaching them nonsense like what they are teaching now and wanting to change it.
No, what happens normally is that Idahosa, the same thing that happened to Kenneth Hagin is what happened to Idahosa. Idahosa and any one of us, we don't have to do the most appalling practices ourselves. What happens normally is this. The fathers always err maybe by a meter. But then the children will err by 100 meters. Then the grandchild will err by a kilometer. So that's what happened with Idahosa. When I got to Bishop Idahosa, Archbishop Idahosa invited me to his place in 1996. When I went there in 96, what I saw there, I heard God clearly that he's going to call him up. And I told my friends at that time that this man, if God doesn't call him home, there will be no Christianity in Nigeria again. And there were a few things that I saw. One, we were living in his house. I was living in his house and with the foreign visitors. So we came in, and we came in about maybe half an hour or 1 hour after the praise and worship had been going on. Each time the praise and worship is going, praise and worship, people are praising God Almighty. But as soon as they see that Idahosa is stepping into the congregation like this, they say, Papa, the person you know, we go and take the leader, we go and take microphone from the pastor who is in charge. We go and take microphone from the praise and worship leader and say, Papa has arrived. When Papa has arrived means all the praise and worship they were doing before has to cease. Praising God Almighty will cease. The praise and worship of God will come to a halt. And everybody will stand up and begin to clap for Papa to enter into the hall until he sits down. Then, only then, they continue to praise God. The praise of God has to give place to the praise of man. And God told me this is idol worshiping, and because of this, if I don't call him home, the whole Nigerian churches will be affected. And I think that's what they are doing in those other churches.
Yes. Yes.
But they have taken it to a deeper place, to a more evil level. Because, you know, so the Hausa doesn't need to do what they are doing now. He just needed to start it. It is about what he initiated or what he triggered. So he triggered the error. You know, what the problem with error is that it gets multiplied with time. And it goes to an extent that's why what we are doing now by challenging all these evil practices, that's why it's so important, because we can cut it in the bud.
Wow.
But because if we don't stop them now, just the way it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse, it's even going to become
it's even already getting worse.
Yes.
It's getting worse now. Now we have people who are like Yahoo pastors.
You see.
And they are
and that's because people didn't speak on time. People didn't raise their voices on time. And people said that God will do it. No, God doesn't do it. Whatever God says you should do, He will not come and do.
And again, let's talk about the content of some of these prophecies. Why does it seem as though Nigerian prophets or pastors, they give prophecies of events that political scientists have written or things that are already happening? For instance, one of the prophecies Suleiman gave this year is China will confront America in 2019. But they were already doing it in 2018 with the tariff exchange, tariff hike.
It just shows you that Suleiman has television in his house. He's listening to CNN and BBC. That's the source of his prophecy.
Well, must they give a prophecy?
Yes.
Especially in,
because they need to keep on creating an illusion in the minds of their people that they are in touch with God. Since they have declared themselves the oracle of God, so God has to speak to them. Because they have not taught the people that, no, nobody is special. We are all the same before God.
And they just bring out different political analysis. From the outlook, it looks like more Igbo people are going to vote for
Buhari.
Atiku.
Atiku, yeah.
From the outlook. Why should that be a prophecy?
Oh, somebody prophesied that one?
Yes,
that
Suleiman.
That Igbo people are going to vote for
Atiku. He should focus more. He should focus his campaign more on the north. Why?
That's a deep revelation. Very deep.
You know, so I read last year.
Maybe it's Angel Gabriel that appeared to him.
Bushiri, it was Bushiri. They were making jest of. They say Bushiri will come and say, today is Wednesday. They say, go deeper, Papa. Today's date is 2nd of January. Papa. You look at you. You are wearing a multicolored shirt. You say, go deeper, Papa. Why are they doing that? Why are they saying very glaring things? Does it show the lack of thinking ability and foresight of the people? Is that what it exposes?
Lack of thinking, lack of analysis. Just, you see, that's like what Hitler said. What a joy.
For a leader.
For leaders, yeah, that masses, people don't think. What a joy it is for leaders that masses, ordinary people don't think. It's, you know, the same thing in Africa. Now in Africa is a jamboree for pastors because people don't think. We are going to stop that because we are working on it already. More and more books will come out. Even if they don't read them, you know, we are preparing the way. We are going to help them out.
Well, like we said, the prophecies for who will become president this year is reduced a lot.
You see,
in 2015,
not too many people talking about that anymore.
In 2015, we heard
it was everywhere.
Jonathan, God has shown Jonathan.
The incumbent is remaining.
The incumbent is remaining. Power will not shift to the north. Tinubu will lose Lagos. It's like they are wisening up.
Now they are already, even their supporters are already warming up and saying that the only reason Buhari is going to win is because he's in power. If he had not been in power, he would not win. These are Showore guys and people who are following, you know, PDP. The only reason he will win is because he's going to rig it. Without rigging, he would never have won because they are going to do the same thing they did in Ekiti and Osho. Otherwise, he would never win. I say, you know, if personally, I think that the only person, the person that could be trustworthy most to conduct free and fair election is Buhari. You know, but they are just, they are preparing ground for their defeat. Explanation.
But did you notice, sir, that if you look at the political atmosphere in Nigeria, maybe we'll digress into politics a bit now. If you look at the political atmosphere in Nigeria, this is the calmest we've had in a long time.
In fact, I'm not, even me, I'm pinching myself that maybe the election will not happen in February. And it's too calm. It's too calm now. How can it be February? This February that's coming next month. No, maybe it will move it to May again. Because if it is May or June, I can understand that they are just preparing right now. They are warming up. Even the campaign are weak.
But someone said it's because this is the first time that thieves are not campaigning from the government coffers. So now people are using their money that they've saved. So they are spending it with, wisdom. So someone like the vice presidential candidate raised the alarm that his account was blocked. And they discovered it was a lie.
It was a lie.
So many people were saying he was saying that so that he will not have to campaign, he will not have to contribute to the campaign.
Liars.
Again, you mentioned Showore and the possibility of rigging the election in Nigeria. I just want to say this and ask a question. Personally,
if you know they are going to rig it, so why are you contesting? You already know they are going to rig something, and then you are contesting. Make a withdraw now.
They are just saying that to probably intimidate the government or something. But sir, personally, I would not mind if any of these newcomers like Showore win the election. But I am asking one question, and maybe you'll be able to provide, maybe I don't know that much, maybe you'll be able to provide the answer for me. That if there are 108 senatorial districts, over 200 or 300 representative seats, and 36 states, and let's take Showore because he's the guy who is showing more promise than the rest of them. He doesn't have the hope of producing 10 governors. He cannot mention 10 states that I'm going to produce these 10 governors. There are no 20 senators to say we are going to produce these 20 senators and these are going to be, at least will form minority in the House. Then how is he expecting to win the presidency?
When I made a statement and I said that it doesn't have a structure. That because it doesn't have a structure, I will not support him or any of the young people. They don't have structures to win election. I'm very experienced in this. So they are not serious yet. Their structure shows me seriousness and preparation. If I don't see preparation, I'm not seeing seriousness. So if there is no foresight, because people are thinking that I am, in fact, some of my DSA people are telling me that this is against what I taught them. And then what did I teach you? You taught us not to support things that are not true. You taught us not to support corruption. You taught us to always fight for the right things. So we are going to support Sowore all the same, even though we know he's going to win. I said, okay. For me, that is exactly the opposite of what I taught you. Because maybe you know what I've taught you, but you have not know what I've not taught you yet. Because the fact that I am saying I am not supposed to Sowore, it's not that I'm not supporting him. I'm supporting him. That's why I brought him here. In fact, I'm inviting him to come back again. I'm supporting him, but I said, since he's not going to win election, why should I waste my resources to go and support a losing cause? But they said, no, but you know that he might be better than the other ones. These other ones that are there are bad. So he could be better. Good. But for me, he has to prove some things to me. There are some points that he needs to prove to me that he's qualified for me to campaign for him. Number one, the structure I'm talking about includes those things that you have just said. That is structure. That is to say that we don't just have representatives in every state and in every local government, in every ward, but we also have people who can win. Then we have strategies. And by that strategy, you must be able to tell me how many votes we are going to have. Because of the strategy, just what? Because every house is built by wisdom. I need to see the wisdom. But the reason why I'm demanding for that is not because I don't believe in him as a person. It's because I need to see his preparedness. And his preparedness shows me his foresight. Because people who rule a nation are people who have foresight. You must be able to see something that other people are not seeing. You must be able to see ahead of others. And his foresight is only proven to me not by his rhetorics, not by his words or his arguments or his language. It's proved to me by the facts he's put together, by the structure he has put together. Jesus said we should act like this. Jesus said if anybody wants to go out to go against another kingdom, another empire, another king on a war, and this is exactly what's happening here. If you want to politically go after against the reigning power, and you will have to sit down first. Sit down first. Count your resources. That is structure. That is analysis. That is system. Build a system first that will guarantee you, an upper hand over the opposition. But if they can't show me that, I'm not as gullible. So people who say I've taught them to be for what is right, and this is not what I've taught them. It's me, because maybe you know what I've taught you, but you have not know what I've not taught you. Maybe one day I should come and do a series on how to become a national figure and how to win political elections. Maybe I should come and teach you that. Maybe after that, then you will be able to know that it is not enough to just have the truth on your side. It is not just enough to just have good intentions. You need to have more than good intentions, because, for example, if you are not able to build a system now that can win an election, I'm not sure that you'll be able to build a system and a structure that will be able to hold and manage Nigeria. So it's telling me that, they don't have the foresight, they don't have the understanding, you don't have the capacity. You just want to go there and be acting by emotion and impulses. No, that will be worse than what we have right now. So the reason I'm asking for structures is not because of winning the election alone. It's to be able to assess your capacity to be able to put a structure for the whole country and be able to run a country. If you cannot run an election, how will you run a country? How will you bring a better, superior structure for Nigeria than what we have already? It means what we are going to do there is going to be trying to use the structure we have on ground and just be talking and destroying everything. But then what will you bring to replace it? If you cannot build a structure for your own movement, how can you build a structure for your own country? So it's just like saying in our church here, for example, I always tell young men who want to marry, because young men want to marry all the time. I tell them, don't even come to me to ask for the hand of a girl if you don't make $2,000 a month. In Ukraine, the average salary is 500 or maybe less than 400 euro. And so $2,000, it means it's more.
5 times more.
Yeah, is it 5 times? Or
yeah. 5 times more
Okay,
than
like
the
5 times more than the normal average.
400.
That is, yes, that is supposed to be coming in. So you have to make more money. So they are saying, but you know, we want to grow together. You know, some young men will come and say, we want to grow together. We don't want him to be rich already. The girl will be defending him and say, we want to go. I said, look, and then you have to have a car, and then you have to have a house or an apartment, or at least an apartment that you have rented for a year ahead. You have to, you know, those are the standards in our church here. So they are saying, no, you are too harsh on the men. I said, look, it is not just because of the girl that I'm saying that. I need him to present me those, you know, conditions, to fulfill those conditions for the simple reason of assessing him. I said, if marriage is such a challenge, marriage is so challenging, it's more challenging than to get a car. It's more challenging than to make $2,000 a month. If you cannot provide for yourself, if you cannot solve the problem of making $2,000 a month, solve the problem of a car and an apartment, the problems you are going to meet in marriage are going to be 10 times worse than those every day. So if you cannot resolve problems that will benefit you, if you cannot provide for yourself a house to live in, if you cannot provide for yourself a car to drive in, and you want to go and get another, what is the guarantee that when you get a more bigger responsibility, another person to care for? I want to see. So what I tell my young people in the church is that what I'm looking for is your ability to resolve problems. I want to see your ability to resolve problems now, especially problems that pertain to you. This getting a house or an apartment is a problem that pertains to you, even without thinking of a woman. Resolve your own problems, because life is about solving problems. It's not about talking. What is the guarantee that I have that Sowore will be able to resolve the problem of Nigeria better than Buhari? I don't have any guarantee, just words. I just have to believe in thin ears. No. So for me, the practicality and the proof of that are the structure, what he sees, not what he talks. What he has been able to put together and build. That is what makes me, for example, I've seen what Buhari has done. I saw what he did in the 80s. I saw that he has been a governor of many parts of Nigeria. He has won. Somebody said Buhari doesn't like Nigeria, doesn't love Nigeria, he hates Nigeria. That's why he put his life online to go and fight in a war. Are you ready to go and fight in a war now? You go and fight Boko Haram, go and dress and be a commander in the army? He has risked his life for Nigeria. He has, showed integrity on all levels for the period of 30 years of serving the country. Actually, 50 years. Somebody who has been consistent in 50 years. He served in the East, served in the South, served in the North, grew and governed on different levels, managed money, NNPC, everything. For me, he has more criteria than Sowore, who is just managing a newspaper. Because you don't just say Sowore will be good by assumption. Assumption is the lowest level of information. He has not proved anything to anybody yet. He might even be worse than anybody we've ever had. But, by the time he gets there. So we need to, I need to see. So for me, the minimum thing I'm asking for is for him to present me with some believable, credible criteria that I could use to assess him.
That's the structure.
And the minimum one is the structure. And when I'm talking about structure, I'm talking about what is your plan to win? How many local government chairmen will you win? How many every state, how many percentage of the parliament will you control? How many, people will be in the Senate? How many governors will you have? Then how many votes? Those ones will contribute to how many votes you are going to have at the end of the day. So, but the people who follow him now, they are now saying, no, we know he's going to lose, so let him lose. But we just want to be faithful to integrity. But I'm not sure that Sowore is having better integrity than Buhari. I'm not sure at all. Because the pressure that Buhari is on, and the pressure that will come on him, and the compromises and the attacks, is what will reveal what is in Sowore. Because by the time Sowore gets there, he will discover the demons Buhari is dealing with in the National Assembly. Especially because you cannot work as a president. We are not electing a king. It is a king that could just say yes by my word and or we are not expecting a dictator or a military president that could just say, okay, I cancel judiciary, I cancel National Assembly legislation, and I am the only one, whatever I say. So that's the impression people have. That look at America now. Why is the government shut down? Because that is the way Trump was talking. Now he has come to reality. Because that he cannot just do what he wants without carrying other people along.
Pluralistic.
He couldn't carry along the legislation in America. That's why the government of America is shut down now. Now, Trump is writing notes that I am lonely here, I'm depressed and all that. It's the beginning of sorrow. Because if you don't learn how to carry other people along, if you are just my way or the highway, you will be depressed like him. I hope that will not happen to Sowore. You'll be so depressed, you will love to hang yourself like Trump is now saying now.
There were times I wanted to run away.
Yes.
Because of what you're saying now. Because
Buhari was saying that.
Yeah, and people were abusing him. That why are you? Because presidency is not just it's not a royal title. It's like you are saying. It's not
because it was a military president. It was easier for him.
It was easier, but now I'm just imagining, and this is where my own logic is coming from, and the question I'm asking, sir. There was a governor, I've forgotten his name now, but he was in the southeast then. He was voted, he was elected as the governor, but he didn't have control. His party was not control of the legislature.
Assembly.
1 year they removed him. So just imagine a Sowore, let's even say everybody voted for him to be president. But PDP is controlling the Senate, or PDP is controlling the representative. It will only take 1 year. Everything that we thought was impossible by impeachment, they will impeach him.
Look, even APC is having majority in the National Assembly for 2-3 years. But they couldn't even resolve anything to all the things because some of his own APC people, like Saraki, they have coalition and secret agreement with PDP, and that is after having almost half of the whole National Assembly as yours. Talk less of when you don't have anything. You will not even survive 1 week.
Buhari has sent anti-corruption bill, DSA, anti-corruption bill since 2016. They have not read it.
You see?
They have not read it for once. So all of the bills that really matter and would have changed things, they don't read it. Okay, look at electoral bill, for instance. Buhari had to reject it. And they say Buhari doesn't want good election. But if he didn't want good election, where they removed voters card, they would have just signed it straight. Now, those are the kind of demons you are dealing with. That's even political class. When you now get to the civil service, okay, yesterday they were asking the Vice President Chakande of PDP, how does he intend to resolve ASU strike? He said, we are going to dialogue. But you are dealing with a...
Is it not dialoguing they are doing now?
You understand? You are dealing with a systemic demon that necessarily does not want anything to go well. Okay, Nigeria is a place where you will pay universities for research. The next week, the professor has bought a car.
No, or for example, the information I have right now, somebody became, this is a relative, someone on our platform here told me about her own relative who became a senator. Within just last election, 2015. He's under Saraki. He's one of the Saraki's disciples. So he became a senator. He already had a house, a huge house for 500 million. But now, they said the house of 500 million is nothing. He's now building a house in 1 year, under 1 year of just being in the Senate. Because he's the head of a committee. And he said there are 40 million. $40 million passes through his hand. He has to sign it. He only signs out the amount that he wants every month. So, and that one, we are not even talking about, those are even small things compared to other issues that are really...
Then the next question, sir, even if he's not impeached, history has shown us that people who want to do stuff, really, and do not have the strong, like-minded people around, they are assassinated.
That is part of structure now. That is still structure. Big team.
Yeah.
You have a team and like-minded people, and you need time to be able to groom them. If you don't groom them, if you don't form them, because what is one of the things that Sowore is doing right now is that he is campaigning. I told one of his people, I told them, this is the way to do it. Because he wants to do a revolution. And he's going to the street and going to internet to campaign. But what you are saying that what APC is doing is bad, they are taking the former PPP people, that they are taking the former, corrupt politicians. Are you not doing the same thing? If they will come and join you now, will you say no? You are going online to say you are starting something, everybody should come. Will you say everybody will come, I'm refusing you? You are taking everybody too. Do you know the level of their own corruption on their local level where they are? Do you? Because it doesn't have a system to train people. If I'm going to do political party in Nigeria, I'm not just going to do like that. If I'm going to do that, everybody, before you can join the party, you must pass through some, not just screening, but you must pass through education. I must train you in my value system. I must have they must give exams. They must be inculcated with my ideology and the value system. Only when you do that, then you can build a new country. If you don't do that, you will never be able to build a new country. You are having the same crop of people, the same Nigerians that are, you think only the people in politics are corrupt? No, these ones that you are gathering are even more corrupt in their places. Even the ones who are volunteering, even the ones who are volunteering right now to run on the platform of Sowore's party, what did you do to them to make sure that they have the same content and the same values as Sowore himself? Sowore doesn't know them. He has not produced them. He has not formed in them this value system that he wanted. They just came and told him that we are going to join you, we believe in you or something. Those are words. Anybody could come and say the same thing and you believe them. It's
still the same problem.
It's the same problem.
The party is just a platform without any ideology.
Without any preparation. Even if you have ideology, what do you do to make that ideology become my own value system? How do you do to change me, to reform me?
And this
if he becomes a president without having a system of producing a new generation of people like that, they will also overwhelm. Just like they are saying now that Buhari is not corrupt, but people under him are corrupt. The same thing they will be saying about him too, because he's making the same mistake Buhari is making. He did not resharpen and reorient the mind of those people who are following him.
I don't know if you were still in Nigeria during the time of Shagari.
Oh yeah,
rest in peace. Shagari, a very good man, just like Jonathan.
Yeah,
people who met Jonathan said he's a very good guy.
He was better than Buhari. He was better than Jonathan, much more better than Jonathan.
I mean saying that these guys were good people.
He was a man of integrity.
Shagari was even said to be even more saintly.
Yeah.
But I remember I read that Shagari said, while they were counting, Rumi went upstairs to pray. So as such, he didn't know anything about the money. But the corruption was going on. So they could not trace personal corruption to him. But when Shagari came the first time, having received, when he became president in his first term, the problem he had was not with money. The problem was with what to do with money. So that's why he was able to establish a whole lot of programs, mouse housing. They were able to build a whole lot of infrastructure within 4 years because the money was there. Within 4 years, Nigeria went into recession. So by the end of his 4th year, going into his 1st year, Nigeria was already in recession. He started doing austerity measure had come into place. Why? Because even though he was a good guy, but the system was not clean. So the people did not have the same ideology as him. So the same problem will ensure if we and the new guys coming now cannot answer the simple questions of who are those people that we are going to put in places to ensure that the institutions of government that will aid you to achieving this new Nigeria will be there. If governors are fighting you, 36 governors of the federation are against what you are doing, there's nowhere you are going. Because they are the ones that will form the National Economic Council.
I tried to ask him that question. Go and look for my interview with Sowore. I asked him the question about the governors. I asked him the question about the National Assembly. He couldn't answer. He was just saying, well, we will find people. We will find people. Nigerians are doing well all over the world. He's just living in in a
So that's like fantasy.
in a euphoria world. Hello? Hello?
Hello. Yes, sir. How are you?
Can you please speak into the microphone direct? Speak into your device. Your voice is a bit low.
Yes, I think I am. I think I am.
Grom, oh, yes, it's good.
Oh, okay. Happy New Year to you, sir. How are you doing today?
Very good. Who is calling from where, sir? Grom,
This is Stanley, sir. This is Stanley.
Henry from?
Stanley.
Stanley.
Sir.
Oh, Stanley from where, sir?
The U.S., sir.
Okay,
California.
okay. Yes, Stanley.
Yes, sir. I was listening to you, and I just wanted to make a contribution in relationship to the sudden, food supplies that are coming in out of our churches as a result of the ending of the new year. And one of the things I find interesting is that, and there's a book of yours I would like to recommend because I'm actually reading it now, which is How the Church Creates Economic Recession. I like that book tremendously. I'm ferociously going through it. And I find it quite interesting. And the reason is because how do we talk about, feeding people at the ending of the year, and how does that in any way elevate poverty? Okay, and it's a very vicious circle. So you give people enough not to talk, and then suddenly, everybody becomes okay, and then the ending of it all, they still go back to the same thing or the same lifestyle that they had before you give them what is it that you give them. I don't care how many bags of rice you give a man. I don't care how many truckloads of yam you give a man. The truth of the matter is, when it comes to economic, when it comes to economic development, when it comes to alleviating people out of poverty, you must be able to teach them a way to become self-sustaining. It's not just about giving people stuff, all right? I'm sure you're quite familiar with the old Chinese adage who says, teach me how to fish, don't give me a fish, because if you teach me how to fish, I'll be able to help myself for the rest of my life. So this is actually quite vicious, because I think that if we are trying to celebrate this, then it is a little bit uninformed.
Okay.
And the reason for that is you can't even, so I'm saying this to you, you cannot try to push this or support this or make this look as if to say this is a step in the positive direction.
Wow.
It's not.
Wow.
Let me say this to you why. This is why it's not a step in the positive direction.
Wow.
If you say that, it's like this. It's like this. It's like you telling me that I have to think outside of a box, all right? And then, but what you tell me in essence is this is the box you need to think within. Just because you increase the box 1 inch bigger does not necessarily mean I'm still thinking outside of the box. This is deception at its finest. The point is, this has nothing to do with what is it that we're talking about. Okay, it's foreign aid. It's like foreign aid just from the church, which does not do anything. Okay, it does not do anything. So we're still doing the same thing over and over again, and somehow today we get up with the kumbaya moment. You know what? Great things are happening. Nothing is happening. Nothing great is happening. It's dumb beyond recognition. Well,
Brilliant.
Whatever.
Brilliant.
By the way,
Brilliant.
By the way, I have my own prophecy for the year. All right.
Okay.
So maybe. Everybody's having their own prophecy for the year. December 25th, after eating so well, I was not on the fast. I was eating very well. I think after feasting, suddenly, the angel of the Lord took me on a journey. I saw 2 arrows flying towards Nigeria. And I asked the angel, what is the meaning of this arrow? He said, I saw the arrows. I saw the name. I saw DSA written on one of the arrows. And I saw that the Furies written on one of the arrows. And I told myself, Nigeria's in trouble. If there be any prophecy for 2019, nothing will change. I know 2 of you guys will do what you've always done, and you'll do it well. So you know what? That's my prophecy for the year. I hope you're doing well, sir.
Thank you so
And
much.
he packaged that prophecy very well.
It would have sold.
It would have sold. He said he was sleeping. Was he sleeping?
No, after I finished eating. Do we have another caller? Okay, so some will be wondering, why did we divert into politics? For me personally, I'm wondering why these political prophecies are not mentioning Showore will win, or he will be a contender. Nobody is mentioning AAC will win this place. Because even they have done the political analysis. They know he's not on ground. Otherwise, if he had such chance, you would have at least had one prophecy.
No, there are many prophecies. I've had 2 prophecies. One said that the next president of Nigeria, his name is going to start with S.
That was when they thought Saraki would win PDP.
It was Saraki. I thought it was Showore. S are many in the country.
And it will be young, Gabi. That was when they thought Saraki, because Saraki then was doing a Grow Nigeria campaign. So that was that time.
Oh, wow.
But in any case, to subject all of this, it's not about just speaking on Showore. Why Showore is because he's the leading light from all of them.
I like him. I like what he's bringing.
Personally,
he's bringing a very good dynamics. The dynamics of taking the discussion to the public, taking the dispute to the discourse to the street, and getting ordinary people involved and really doing it radically. The only way to change Nigeria is through radicalism. And he has that radicalism. I like him. I like it. Without that, that is the future of Nigeria. He is radical enough. You know, he's good in some areas. But that doesn't mean he's good enough.
Yeah.
He needs more than that to be able to win.
You know, for instance, let's take again.
Look at Ribadu. Ribadu had that kind of resolve and radicalism too. He cannot even win his state's governorship.
Let's look at this again. This will be a little bit controversial. But one of the people who are so, who is giving their best to see that things change in Nigeria is this woman, Ezekwesili.
Yes, Ezekwesili.
And one of the issues she takes so personally is they bring back our girls.
Yes.
And that's very good. But what will she do as president to bring back the girls? What do you think she can do?
She cannot do anything more than the people who are already doing what they are already doing.
Because you would have to think of either paying ransom.
Yeah.
If you pay ransom, it means you are empowering them to do more.
You, yeah.
You know, if you go with force, they can kill. So
she cannot do anything more.
People can criticize.
Yeah.
But there has to be a structure of how are you going to do this? What's going to be different? I know I was mentioning the vice presidential candidate of the PDP. He says he's going to he says he's going to constructively engage. But during his time, the university in his state, they went on strike. He was even planning to sack 30,000 people because they went on strike. And when I was wondering, why did you not constructively engage that time? Because talk is cheap. Anyone can talk. And we must go beyond that. We must ask for empirical, how are you going to do this? Okay, they asked him, how are you going to improve electricity? He said, we are going to do that, but I'm not going to promise megawatt. But anyone who is thinking will be saying, this government, for instance, has added...
Or he's saying they should remove subsidy from
subsidy
oil so that we'll go back to the crisis before the new year.
Yeah.
That this is the first new year where we're each free with,
no fuel price increase or anything. Yeah. They said that means fuel will increase. Say yes, but this thing, no real this thing. So this is the idea.
Hello.
Bonjour DSA.
Ça va, innocent. How are you doing today?
Très bien, et toi?
Oh, ça va bien, ça va bien.
Bonjour Bamisaye.
Ça va bien.
You made a very powerful point. I would like to emphasize on it.
Please.
We were having a conversation with a friend recently, and it was about all revolutionary leaders that we had in the past and in African history. People like Thomas Sankara and all the Marcus Garvey, all the black leaders, all the Malcolm X and all these people. So we had a conversation. We were wondering why the revolution died with them. Their ideas that they have in their mind died with them. And why the rest of the population couldn't go on with their ideas and all those things. And the vacuum that was left was what you addressed a few minutes ago. You said about Showore, the ability of a leader to replicate himself in other people, because most African leaders who brought in new ideas, they had very powerful ideas, and then they just get assassinated by some foreign powers in the opposition.
Sad.
And then people start wondering, like, wow, most of them today, some of us that we consider ourselves in code, the woke Africans, we see them as gods because of their ideas, because we read about them. But the only error that it committed was that they were unable to replicate themselves. So it's just like a snake
Even
that has one head.
even Nkrumah.
That's true. Even in Nkrumah, it's just like a snake that has one head. So once the head is cut, the body suffers and the body dies.
Even in Nigeria, Awolowo.
Yeah,
True.
you see, had the same problem. Azikwe, yeah.
Azikwe was a Pan-Africanist too. I
Yes.
studied about him.
Yep.
I was shocked to see that he was a student from Nkrumah. They were friends themselves. They studied Marcus Garvey ideology and they espoused this idea. That was why he was even against Biafra, Ezekiel himself. He said, look, this idea wouldn't take us anywhere. Let's move in this way. So these powerful leaders, almost all these black leaders, in short, so even somebody like Mandela himself, although I know some people despise him, but he did his best for South Africa. So what are they lacking? The ability to replicate their ideas, to replicate the revolutionary spirit. So once they are gone, the idea dies with them. So you just made a very powerful point right now that what we need in that country, seriously, urgently, is this need to be addressed. And you just created a platform of mentorship. I'll have to confess that myself, I've been lagging on it because I had some serious project I'm working on now that is taking a lot of my time. But I would like to encourage people who are really, really, really available and they have a lot of time to go. The moment I have the opportunity, I'm going to catch up with the program and make sure that some of those things, because I saw that there were assignments, and these assignments are very thought-provoking. In short, I was encouraged to write not less than 200 words, at least up to 200 words. I was just listening, I was amazed. But when I started writing, I discovered that, this thing, you have to develop it lengthy. It's a big time challenge. So these ideas, then I first wrote the first assignment, and I discovered that there was a correction. And the assignment was not to regurgitate what we studied, but instead, it was I don't know how to explain this, but it's like a thought-provoking assignment that you're not to regurgitate what you read, but to help you to think and develop your idea, your own vision, and to address that specific topic. For instance, if you ask you discuss the topic of how to handle corruption, and then the person who read what you wrote will be encouraged to develop their own ideas, to make a proposition. And this is what most of the assignment in this mentorship program is all about. Yeah. So people that are listening to us, if you're available, you think you have time, and then you have a lot of time, space, and all those things, because we spend a lot of time on Facebook doing nothing and other stuff, you can go and register on the mentorship program, because these are programs that will help us. And I see, anytime you emphasize on this, it makes me happy, because I see you currently right now being replicated in so many people. Somebody like Bamisaye, who is seated close to you right now. I see you, I see a lot of people. I even see you even in your critics, people that are criticizing you. You inspire their life.
They are still using my system to criticize me.
Exactly. Some of them, people that are timid to come online to speak on ordinary Facebook live video. But because of your inspiration, they do it today. A lot of people write books today because they have never dreamt of writing books, never in their life. You inspire them to do all these things. And then what do? They use that inspiration. They forgot the good things
They forgot who taught them, and they come against me to use my own system. I taught them to come and attack me.
But at least they are using it.
I think they are using
it. Which is a very unfortunate part. So, and why does this happen? I think there's a vacuum too that also need to be filled, is the lack of the ability of people to think broadly, to have open mind. Yeah. I was accusing my friends recently, some atheist group, because they were completely intolerant of religious people. They say, no, we're out of religion, we don't want to have anything to do with it. I say, you think you're best, you're better. Why are you being judgmental about this? And isn't it your responsibility to show them the light if you think you know the truth and you have the knowledge? So instead of us to just take this aspect and just keep it and block it within ourselves, no, we have to be more tolerant, to be more accepting, and to move forward. So I encourage more people that are listening to us right now to please register in the mentorship program because it's very important. And this is how it is. Like I told you the last time I made some cutting, the last 2 calls I made with you about having wrong leaders occupying position, people like Dilo Melaye in Nigerian political position because of, and I gave you example of China, that before you attain any political position, they drill you. You have to undergo a mentorship, a learning program. It's a communist school. They teach you about nation building, about value of the community. You're loyal to that specific party. So even their military system now, they don't teach you how to shoot first. They don't teach you how to do all this gara-gara business. They just take you to class, keep you for years, putting ideas in your head, making sure that they are programming your mind to think in a specific manner and for the interest of the country. And they are doing it right now. They have already built a very massive, impermeable wall that is even making the West to panic right now because they try to talk their people out of it. They try to introduce democracy that the people are not giving in to them. So it to show you that this idea of ideology and programming the mind of people for positive reason is very important in the community because that's the only way we can progress. Having the right value system, that's the only way we can progress. So
thank you so much. Thank you so much, Innocent. Thank you. Blessings. What Innocent is saying is very important because it's a mentorship program. That's exactly why I started the mentorship program. Because I'm going to Nigeria and I'm going to do a new thing. And I must be sure of people that go with me and who they are. And so the people who go through the mentorship program, they will be great assets for the great things that we're going to do in Africa. And when I get to Nigeria itself, everybody has to go through that mentorship program. No way otherwise. And I also want to say that unfortunately our people, they are not used to the hard work that you need to do on the mentorship. People are, I mean, can you imagine that 50% of all students drop out because they say it's too hard. They said some of them say they have finished master's degree, they have finished PhD, some not PhD, but master's, first degree, second degree, and they didn't sweat so hard as the mentorship program. So that it is too demanding for them. They didn't know it's as hard as that. So they want easy passage. They want things to be easy. How would you become another person? So the mentorship program, the way to join is to go to sundayadelajablog.com/mentorship. 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 You can register now or after the program.
All right. So, DSA, I'm thinking that if everything you said now, if they would just take it as a constructive criticism and they begin to work on it post-2019, maybe they would have been able to build a lot.
Even said, I've said it before, they are saying that, how can I be so, some of the people who are attacking me the most are the Sowore followers. I don't know where they are getting the idea from that I'm against Sowore. I'm not. I'm in support of him, but in this election, 2 people are running, and only one of them will win. And I'm not going to be so foolish to believe in some imaginary house in the air somewhere. If he wants to, they said, he needs to get experience. Let me use you to get experience, but not me. Right now, I'm more particular about who handles the destiny of the country.
4 years.
That's what I'm not bothered about his experience. I'm bothered about who will lead the country further right now. That's what I'm bothered about. Because, that could either, destroy our country and I will not have any country by the time this one is getting experience. Or I should have to preserve the country at least for him to get experience and come to have a place to come to. So, but I told them also that, let me show you what I have done, what I have prepared as a structure. Not vying to be president, not vying to even go into politics. Come and see my own structure of what I plan to do for Nigeria and how I plan to rebuild Nigeria. It will run anybody. It will make them they will just say they don't have any business campaigning. None of them. Because by the time they see my own plan for the country, they will discover that they have no business campaigning at all. Because they don't have any plan. They don't have any program. All those things they are writing there, those are just theory. And the thing that I'm going to tell you, I'm going to show you with constructions, systems. I'm going to show you with the statistics. I'm going to show you with the diagrams. I'm going to show you with means and how. And I'm not even saying I want to become anything. I can show them how to do it if they are really serious, but they are driven by ambition. They have more ambition than the willingness to change, to really learn how to change a nation, how to build a nation. And that's why I'm afraid that could lead to more catastrophe than what we are even having right now. And some of you are, just in euphoria of following and thinking everything is going to be perfect inside Messiah. You just got disillusioned because it didn't go through the necessary stages of preparation.
Yes, sir. And then the next part I want to talk about is if they can't come together, I mean all these young people, they have the inability to come together. Why then are they intimidating other guys who chose to pick one of the two old folks?
Yeah, if they could have come together, at least they would have shown some seriousness. But if they don't come together, they will never win an election. Because Nigeria is so diversified and Nigeria is so vast that you cannot win an election without working with other people. They will never do it, even in 10 years or 20 years' time.
And then again, on a final note, if every democracy is studied in the world, if we study every democracy in the world, we will see the difference between political entities and then political platforms. That's why America has never produced an independent president, a president who ran on an independent candidacy. Every one of the presidents has either been a Republican or a Democrat. If you check the UK, none of them has been an independent prime minister. It's either from the Labour Party or from the other side, Tory. So there's always a difference between you're a popular political entity. Yes, good, they know you. You can win probably your Senate. But to lead the country, the platform must be built. The platform must be built. And it must be built with ideologies. Ideologies. And so that's what we are talking about. And for Nigeria to move forward, to live where we are now, we must be able to build that. And so everything is constructive criticism so that we can together actualize every one of that. But for now, if I do not support your candidate, sorry, it's not because I don't like him as a person or I don't think he's a good candidate or he may even be the best as a candidate, but multi-party, institutional democracy does not work like that. A lot of intricacies are involved and a lot of questions must be answered to be sure that we are going to all the efforts we put in place are going to reap the fruit. So just to end the conversation on...
My next program is coming up in 10 minutes.
Yes. So just to end the conversation on the prophecies. With the rate at which it is decreasing, do you think we will have prophecies next year?
Next year we might still have, but it's going to be even much more less than this year. And that is good news.
So at the end of the day, the whole basis of everything is just to remind you again that God talks to you. You just have to realize how God talks to you. God does not wait to talk to the next person so that he can now come and talk to you. That's even your father will not talk to your brother to say, go and talk to you. He will want to talk to you directly on most of the issues that he needs to talk to you about. How much more God? So this year, God is going to talk to you about your year, is going to direct you. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that somebody somewhere hears God more than you or someone somewhere is better than you. All right, so that's it from me, and I would like DSA to give you his last word on the show today, and we'll call it a day and see you next week.
Yes, I would like you to be able to follow the example and the advice of Innocent that called from France to go and join the mentorship program, sundayadelajahblog.com/mentorship. And besides that, I would also like to remind you that next month in February, we have the HMT History Makers Training for those who want to come here to Ukraine to join us. please go ahead and join by going to sundaydelajablog.com/HMT History Makers Training, or you could just write to HMT History Makers Training at godembassy.org. HMT@godembassy.org.
All right. Thank you, guys. And it's been a good time with you. Happy New Year again. And I wish you a very good year, a productive one. Maybe if I said I wish a year of problems now, maybe I don't know if many of you will say amen. But you know that problem is your shortcut to prominence. So the more problems you solve, the more prominent you will become. All right, guys. Have a good year. God bless you.
Peace. We'll see you in 10 minutes, 15 minutes time for the program on the Holy Ghost, how to know God through the Holy Spirit. Peace.